Well, my friends, it's been a minute since I made a video, so apologize for that. It's just been a crazy spring. It's rained every other day, and we've had a hard time getting our fertilizer done. So, finished that up just on Friday, which is kind of quite late. It's the middle of May. So, yeah, that's definitely pretty late for the last fertilizer application, but is what it is. I mean, you can't make a mess out there. So, fortunately, I've got a couple good guys taking care of the mowing side of things. I hate cutting grass. I think it's the worst business ever, but that's a topic for another time. So I was talking to my friend Daniel on Facebook today, and he brought up a really good topic that I don't think we've ever talked about on the channel before, and that is what is the ideal size machine for residential snow. There are a few different options that guys are running. We've got your little tractors like your 4 Series. You've got some more medium-sized machines like your 5 Series Deeres. There's a comparable Massey size, your Kubota M511, I believe it is, something like that. And then your big boys like your John Deere 6Rs. So we were talking about that a little bit. I just want to share that discussion with you. So I'm going to roll some B-roll here, and we will get into that shortly. Listen, guys, I have no idea what the best machine out there is. All I can do is speculate. There's a lot of really good options out there for sure. So when it comes down to pinpointing what the number one machine is, I really don't know. It's kind of up, it depends on your area, but the one thing I do want to mention is it really comes down to your route. So Daniel's question here in our group was, which machine do you prefer for residential snow removal? Pretty simple question. If I was personally limited to one type of machine in the fleet forever, I'd have to go with this 4066R and 80-inch Cyclone. A couple of our routes just require a smaller machine. Without little tractors, we'd have pretty much no chance of servicing those customers. So that's one thing that with the smaller units, you have no restrictions on the driveways you can service. If you get into big machines, it can become problematic with some of these smaller, tight downtown houses. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing for the little tractors is the hydrostacks are far more versatile, just easier to train on. They're easier to use. You don't have to think. Literally anybody can hop in and drive them. So that's one thing that the little tractors have over the big machines. As far as I know, your 4066R, your L6060, all the tractors in that range, there's a few good options. The Massey, I can't remember what the number is, seem to all be pretty sturdy units. So really, in my mind, the biggest question is small tractors versus big tractors, rather than getting bogged down in the details of the different brands and whatnot. Personally, I think the 4066 is the best in that class, just road speed wise, build quality. It's a little bit heavier than some of the other units, but that's kind of a different topic. The one thing I do have to say about the little machines is they can't quite keep up with the big ones. You're probably, with a skilled operator, you're going to be 30 to 50% more efficient with the big units, just because the extra road speed, the 92-inch snowblower, just the horsepower, you're going to be able to plow through more driveways in a shorter amount of time. Now, that is predicated on the fact that that is an open route and you don't have a bunch of obstacles all over. So that's more of an example for a newer suburban area where you're not getting bogged down with weaving in between houses and stuff like that. So my personal strategy that I think we've kind of decided on is either like a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 split, meaning a couple small units for every big unit. And the reason for that is, just practically, we have to have the small ones for the tighter parts of the tighter routes. But also, the big tractors are really important to have around, just for the fact that if you're doing, say, a cleanup run with less units than normal, sometimes we'll like to only go down to like 2 machines to do a super quick cleanup run, just run through all the routes. So the road speed really comes into play there, and you want to have a big machine around for that. So that was kind of my 2 cents on that. By small machines, like that 4 Series size. Bigger is anything, 100 horsepower plus, 5 Series, 6 Series, whatever. But Daniel had a good point here. He said the 4066R is a very popular machine indeed. It's hard for an experienced driver to step down to a small machine from a 5 or 6, but the 4066R has earned its spot. We are seeing a trend, so he's in Quebec, keep that in mind. We are seeing a trend towards the 5R now. Despite issues with them, John Deere has flown down several times to speak with us, to keep us updated on changes and things we would like. They have even been great despite my personal experience with it. So he had a few problems with the emissions and whatnot. He says, I think the 5R will bridge the gap between the 6 and 4 series nicely. So, long story short, we never really came to a conclusion on this. However, the reason I made this video is because if you have your thoughts, join this discussion specifically. We actually made a Facebook group. It's called United Snow Pros, and it's dedicated specifically for residential contractors like myself. I'm sure if you're yourself. I'm sure if you're watching. So join that group. Comment on the post. I'd love to see what you guys have to say about it, and maybe we can come to somewhat of a conclusion here. See you in the group.